morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are at. My name is Jason and thank you for tuning in. Today I'm talking about affordable Canon RF prime lenses. The Canon R series cameras, the R, RP, R5 and R6 are excellent mirrorless cameras and they have the RF mount. What's the difference between an RF mount and the previous EF as well as the other mounts by Canon? The first and most important is the reduced flange distance from the mount to the sensor of the camera. And how they managed to bring it closer is because of the removal of the mirror in the DSLR. And what this translates to is lenses that are larger can be put closer to the sensor. Therefore, you use less glass in an RF lens. And this translates into smaller RF glass. Take for example the RF70 to 200 f2.8. It is amazingly small. And what is smaller than that is the RF70 to 200 f4, which is upcoming. That is even smaller. It's the size of an EF24 to 70mm lens. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if you notice the number of pins on the RF mount, there are 12 pins versus the EF mount's 8 pins only. What this does, it helps faster data transfer, which means faster autofocus, better image stabilization, and overall better image quality. So why not buy RF glass? The biggest problem of RF glass is the price. The Hebrew Trinity 15 to 35, 24 to 70, 70 to 200, all three of them can buy a small new car here in Malaysia. So what are the options available for budget shooters like me? Here come the 35mm f1.8, the 85mm f2, and 50mm f1.8. I don't have the lens right now because I just sold it. How do these prime lenses, these budget prime lenses perform compared to the high-end RF glasses like the Hebrew Trinity that I was talking about just now, and also the older EF glass? Let's find out. So here I have the RF35mm f1.8 Macro IS STM. The price of this lens is about 2,000 ringgit Malaysia, and you can use this for street photography, talking head videos, landscape photos. Attach it to your camera, you can put it into your bag, easily pull it out whenever you need it. It is super sharp, wide open, razor sharp. Right? Compared to the other lenses that I've tried, including some of the EF lenses, it comes with image stabilization, and that is lovely for the R and the RP because these two bodies do not have IBIS. And macro capabilities, it comes also with a control ring. Right? The control ring comes with a few clicks every time you turn it around. Now, what are the cons of these lenses? Number one, it's noisy. Whenever it's focusing, you can hear it. It is not a USM lens, it is STM, which means that it runs on a stepping motor. Number two, it is slow to focus. Being a macro lens, this is generally known for macro lenses, it takes some time to focus. Not super long like the EF100 macro, but it takes some time to focus. In video mode, it slows down the focusing on purpose. So take note, if you want to do video, focusing is even slower than in the photo mode. Thirdly, when focusing, the lens protrudes out of the lens itself, right? The inner element protrudes out. And lastly, there's also focus breathing. So I would not recommend this lens for video, but for photos, it is amazing. Now moving on to the RF85mm f2 Macro IS STM. This is priced slightly a bit more expensive at RM 2,500 ringgit, and it can be used for portraits, talking head videos as well, B-roll and product photography. It's smallish in its form factor, it's not that huge. huge compared to the EF 85mm 1.2 or the RF 85mm 1.2 or even the EF 85mm 1.4. Those are huge lenses. It is also super sharp wide open. At f2 it takes razor sharp photos. Comes with image stabilization as well, and it is macro. It comes with a control ring and of course a focus ring. Now this lens, similar to the 35mm, it shares the same cons. Number one, it is noisy. Number two, it's slow to focus. But for the 85mm, what you can do is you can limit the focus. There is a button here to limit it between full 0.5 meters to infinity or 0.35 to 0.5 meters. This helps to reduce the autofocus timing. Now, the 85 also has got a protruding lens when it's focusing, and it also exhibits some element of focus breathing, right? So again, not the greatest for video, but it is acceptable. Lovely lenses. Now what about the RF 50mm? RF 50mm at 1.8 STM, also known as the RF Nifty 50. It's priced slightly lower than 1,000 ringgit, it's about 950 ringgit, and it's the smallest lens ever. It's even smaller than the 35mm, right? It's about 2/3 the size of the RF 35mm, and it's reasonably sharp in the center of the frame, but it starts to soften as you go towards the edges. It comes with a control ring, but it does not have a dedicated manual focusing ring. So the control ring toggles as the manual focusing ring as well. How do you enable the auto and manual focus? There is no switch on the RF50 lens, so you need to go into the menu and toggle autofocus or manual focus in the menu. So that is a disadvantage. What else? It's kind of noisy. It also protrudes outside of the lens body. It also has focus breathing. It does not have macro, and it does not have IS. Now, so between those three lenses, the 35, the 85, and the RF 50mm, these are the reasonably priced RF lens by Canon. Which do I recommend? Definitely the 35mm and the 85mm. These two affordable Canon prime lenses are amazing in value. Considering all the benefits that they both have, macro IS, control ring, super razor sharp image quality, totally recommended. The RF 50mm, not so. So if you want to buy some affordable RF Canon lens, get the 35, get the 85. I would recommend to pass on the RF 50. Thank you very much. Take care and bye-bye.